Okay, so you're thinking about getting the Physical Security Professional Certification, the PSP, but you want to know more about it first, right?
Yeah, makes sense. It's a pretty big commitment.
That's why we're here today for this deep dive. We're going to really dig into what the PSP is all about.
And we've got some great info straight from nytcc.net to guide us. So if you're looking for the inside scoop, you've come to the right place.
So let's be real. The PSP is more than just a line on your resume.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a globally recognized certification. Shows you really know your stuff when it comes to physical security assessments.
Which, let's face it, translates to some pretty sweet benefits.
For sure. It can definitely open doors to better job opportunities.
And probably a bump in salary, too.
Oh, most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
It really solidifies your position in the security world, shows a commitment to professional development.
Okay, so let's break it down. What exactly does the PSP entail? What do you need to know to ace that exam?
Well, the good news is it's all pretty clearly laid out. nytcc.net outlines 3 main domains that the certification focuses on. Each one's super important for managing physical security.
All right, so domain number 1, physical security assessment. I mean, that sounds pretty self-explanatory, right? You got to figure out where the weaknesses are before you can even start to fix them.
Right. You hit the nail on the head. It's all about identifying vulnerabilities, those gaps in an organization's security that could be exploited.
Exploited by things like what?
Oh, you name it. Theft, vandalism, unauthorized access. It's about figuring out the weak points that could be targeted.
Gotcha. And I bet risk analysis plays a huge role in this, right?
You bet. Risk analysis is essential. It helps you prioritize, focus on what's actually likely to happen and what would have the biggest impact.
So not just a laundry list of every possible bad thing that could happen.
Right. It's about being strategic.
Right.
Figuring out which threats are the most realistic and which ones would cause the biggest headaches.
Okay, so you've identified the risks. You've got a handle on how serious they could be. What's the next move in this assessment phase?
Well, once you've got a good grasp of the vulnerabilities, the next step is to come up with solutions. Propose security improvements that directly address those weak points.
And all of this gets documented, right?
Absolutely. All of it culminates in a comprehensive security assessment report. It's a detailed document outlining the vulnerabilities, the potential impacts, and the recommended solutions. A roadmap for boosting the organization's security.
Makes sense. Identify, analyze, and prescribe. Okay, so that's the assessment piece. On to domain number 2, application design and integration of physical security systems. This sounds like where things get really hands-on.
It is. This is where you move from planning to actually building those security defenses. You take the knowledge from the assessment and use it to create robust, effective systems.
So what kind of systems are we talking about here?
Think surveillance cameras, strategically placed to cover key areas. Access control systems that manage who can go where and when. Alarm systems that go off if there's a breach. All kinds of tech that works together to protect a space.
Right, so it's not just about slapping up a few cameras and calling it a day. There's a real art and science to designing these systems.
Absolutely. And one approach that I find really interesting is CPTID crime prevention through environmental design.
Oh, yeah, I saw that in the outline. What's that all about?
It's this idea that you can use the environment itself as a security tool.
Like, how so?
Well, think about it. A well-lit pathway eliminates hiding spots, right? Clear sightlines make it harder for someone to sneak around.
Ah, so you're making the space itself a deterrent. I like that.
Exactly. It's proactive security built into the design of the environment.
Smart. And the outline also mentions collaboration in this phase. Who are the key players involved?
Well, there are a lot of people you'd be working with. Architects, of course. They're the ones designing the spaces. And then you've got the internal security teams, the folks who are going to be running these systems every day. IT professionals. They make sure everything integrates with the existing networks. And of course, management. Got to make sure the solutions fit the budget and the organization's overall needs.
A real team effort. Security is everybody's business, it seems. All right, on to the third and final domain. Implementation of physical security measures. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? Taking those plans and making them a reality.
Exactly. This domain is all about execution. It's about developing clear security policies and procedures. Think of it like the instruction manual for keeping the organization secure.
So everyone knows the rules of the game.
Exactly. And then it's about training, making sure everyone understands those policies and knows how to use the security systems properly. And then there's the day-to-day management of those security operations, making sure everything runs smoothly.
And I see here that emergency readiness is a big part of this too. Makes sense. You can't just assume everything will always go according to plan.
Absolutely. You got to be ready for anything. Natural disasters, break-ins, fires, you name it. Having solid protocols in place for responding to those events can make a huge difference.
Right. What good is a state-of-the-art system if nobody knows how to use it in an emergency?
Exactly. But it's not just about reacting to incidents. It's also about continuous monitoring and improvement.
Because threats are constantly evolving, right?
Right.
What works today might not work tomorrow.
Exactly. So you have to be constantly evaluating your security measures, adapting and refining them to stay ahead of the curve. It's a dynamic process, not a one-time fix.
All right, so that gives us a great overview of the what of the PSP, the core topics it covers. Now let's talk about the how. What's the actual exam like?
Sure. So the exam itself is computer-based, 140 multiple-choice questions.
Okay, standard stuff. But I noticed something interesting. It says only 125 of those questions are actually scored. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so ASIS, the organization behind the PSP, they throw in those extra 15 questions as pre-test questions. They're for research, basically, trying out new questions for future exams.
So you won't know which ones count and which ones don't.
Nope. So best to treat them all like they matter.
Good advice. And you've got 2.5 hours to get through it all.
Yeah, time management is key. You got to keep moving, make sure you have enough time to answer everything. But the good thing about the computer-based format is you can easily go back and review your answers, skip around if you need to. No flipping through pages.
That's handy. What about the types of questions themselves? It's not all just memorization, right?
Oh, no, it's a good mix. You'll have some knowledge-based questions, testing your understanding of the core concepts, but then you'll also have scenario-based questions. They present real-world situations, and you have to apply your knowledge to figure out the best course of action.
So it's testing your ability to think critically, problem solve on the fly.
Exactly. It's not just what you know, it's how you can use that knowledge in a real-world setting.
Makes sense. So where do you actually take this exam?
You've got a couple options. You can do it online from the comfort of your own home or office with online proctoring, or you can schedule it at a Pearson VUE test center. They're located all over the world.
Okay, so if you choose online proctoring, are there any special requirements?
Yeah, a few. You need a reliable internet connection, obviously, and a working webcam. You'll also need a quiet private space where you won't be interrupted. And ASIS is pretty strict about security, both online and in person.
I'd imagine so. They want to make sure everything's legit.
Yep. You'll need a valid photo ID, and if you're online, they'll be monitoring your environment to prevent any cheating.
Gotcha. Okay, so we've talked about the content, the format. Now let's get to the nitty-gritty. Pass rates, scoring. How tough is this exam, really?
Well, it's definitely not a walk in the park. Remember, only 125 of those 140 questions actually count towards your score. And you need to get about 70% of those right to pass.
So around 88 correct answers out of 125.
Yep. But here's the thing. ASIS doesn't officially publish the exact passing score.
Oh, so there's a bit of mystery there.
Right. So the best strategy is to just be prepared to answer every single question to the best of your ability. Don't try to guess which ones matter more.
Makes sense. And what do the pass rates tell us about the difficulty?
Well, on average, only about 50 to 60% of people pass on their first try. So, yeah, it's a challenging exam.
Wow. So what makes it so tough? Why do so many people struggle?
Well, a few reasons. One is that people often underestimate how much preparation is needed. This isn't something you can cram for. You need to really dig into the material. Another reason is that the PSP is designed for people with at least 3 to 5 years of experience in physical security.
Ah, so if you're just starting out, it's going to be even tougher.
It can be, yeah. And then there's the fact that the exam tests both theoretical knowledge and practical application. So it's not enough to just memorize facts. You need to be able to use those facts to solve problems, make decisions.
So it's a real test of your expertise, your ability to think like a security professional. All right, so given all that, how should someone go about preparing for this beast of an exam?
Well, there's some great resources out there. The Protection of Assets book, for example. That's a really comprehensive resource that covers a lot of the core material.
Okay, so that's a must-read. What else?
The official PSP certification study guide is also essential. It's designed specifically for the exam, with practice questions and key terms. And then there's a book called Implementing Physical Protection Systems. That one gets into the nitty-gritty of system design and integration. Really helpful for that second domain.
Gotcha. So a mix of foundational knowledge, exam-specific prep, And practical application insights.
Exactly. And there's some other tools that can help too. Practice tests, flashcards, even online courses.
So no shortage of options.
Yeah.
But it's not just about the materials, right? It's also about how you study.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Studying with others can be really beneficial. You can bounce ideas off each other, help each other understand the tougher concepts, and practice, practice, practice. Take those practice tests under timed conditions so you get used to the pressure of the real exam.
Right. Get comfortable with the format, the pacing. So active, engaged learning is key here.
Absolutely.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot of ground here. Let's do a quick recap of the key takeaways.
So, bottom line, the PSP certification from ASIS is a big deal in the physical security world. It shows you have the knowledge and skills to assess risks, design security systems, and put those plans into action.
And the exam is tough, but with the right preparation, totally doable.
Exactly. The key is to understand the 3 domains the exam covers, use the right study materials, and practice, practice, practice.
And all that hard work can really pay off.
Oh, yeah. The PSP can open doors to new opportunities, potentially higher salaries, and a more fulfilling career in security.
And that's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely.
So as you continue your journey in the world of physical security, think about this. How can a deep understanding of these PSP domains not only help you ace the exam, but also empower you to create safer, more secure environments in a world that's constantly changing?
It's a question worth pondering.
It is, and it's something we can all be a part of. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time.